न प्रस्थाय भूताले न प्रस्थाय भूताले मते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादि की बजयो जय गौरा चांदे आरती कशोभा जयो जय गौरा चांदे की बजयो चांदे आरती कशोभा जयो जय गौरा चांदे आरती जानवी तटवाने जगमनलो भा जानवी तटवाने जगमनलो भा जग जाना मान लोभा जग जाना जग जाना मान लोभा गौरांगेरा आरती शोभा जग जाना माना लोभा गौरांगेरा आरती शोभा जग जाना माना लोभा गौरांगेरा आरती शोभा जग जाना माना लोभा गौरांगेरा आरती शोभा जग जाना मान लोभा जानवी तटवाने जग जाना मान लोभा जानवी तटवाने जानवी तटवाने जग जाना मान लोभा जानवी হরিব 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 গৌর হরিব তাই গৌর হরিব 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 গৌর হরিব দক্ষিণে নিতাই চাঁদ বামে গদধার নিকটে অদ্বৈতা শ্রীনি वास छत्रधार বসে আছে গৌরাচরণ রত্না সিংহাসনে কিবা বসে আছে গৌরাচরণ রত্না সিংহাসনে বসে আছে গৌরাচরণ आरती करेन ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने आरती करेन ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने नर हरि आदि करी चामर धुलाय संजय मो कुंडवासु गोषादि गाया शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुरा मृदंगा बाजे परमरसाला मधुरा मधुरा मधुर बाजे मधुर मधुरा मधुर बाजे मधुर शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুর মধুরা মধুর বাজে শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুরা মধুরা মধুর বাজে শঙ্খ বাজে ঘণ্টা বাজে মধুরা মধুরা মধুর বাজে মধুর মধুরা মধুর বাজে মধুর মধুরা মধুর বাজে জয় জয় নিতাই জয় জয় গৌর জয় জয় শ্রীধাম মায়াপুর হরিব 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 গৌরা হরিব नीता है गौरा है नीता है गौरा है बहु कोटि चंद्रजिनी बदन उज्ज्वल गला देशे बनमाला कोरे छलमाला शिव सुख नारद प्रेमे गद गद सुख शिव सुख नारद प्रेमे गद गद भाकाति विनोदा देखे गौरार संपादा ठाकुर भाकाति विनोदा देखे गौरार संपादा ठाकुर जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि গৌরা ভক্ত বৃন্দা হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম হরে রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম হরে রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম হরে রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा माधव, जय राधा माधव, राधा माधव, जय राधा माधव. जय राधे, जय राधे, जय राधे, जय श्री राधे. जय गिरिराज, जय गोवर्धना, गिरिराज, जय गोवर्धना. जय जगन्नाथ, प्रभु जगन्नाथ, बलदेव, जय सुभद्रमय. जय जगन्नाथ, प्रभु जगन्नाथ, बलदेव, जय सुभद्रमय. जय राधे, जय कृष्णा, जय राधे, जय कृष्णा. निताय गौर हरि बो, हरि बो, हरि बो, गौर हरि बो. निताय गौर हरि बो, हरि बो, हरि बो, गौर हरि बो. जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय प्रभुपाद. जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय गुरुदेव. ताय गुर प्रेमानंदे.
Jayam Vishnupada Parahamsa Parivragacharya Astu Sarasata Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. His confounder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Parahamsa Parivagacharya Asto Sarasata Sri Srimad Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mathura Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Shri Ganga Mai Ki Jai Shri Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shama Veda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Brahmanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Monster. Kashi Purvaksha Srilatanga Natayane Donarshinga Baila Donarshinga Yato Yato Yamita Donarshima Narshingamadim Saranam Prapade Tavagana Kamala Bade Nakamadhuta Shringa Alita Hiranyakashipu Tanabrina Keshavadiya Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Jaya Nrsimhadev, 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 Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Singapore.
Hare Krishna. Louder, once more I'll try. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Better, that's much better. And you can please come forward. We get a lot of guests when we come closer to Prasadam time. So please come forward. Okay. So first of all, our beautiful deities and the outstanding dresses that our priests, amazing priests, they have dressed our deities. Just a wonderful Hari Bol and a loud applause for the priests and for the beautiful dressing they have done. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And today for the Prasadam is being sponsored by two devotees. One is Shrikant Govindas. He's sponsoring the feast for his son Anjaneya's birthday. It's turning 1 today. Is Shrikant Govindas here? Oh yes, you're here, Prabhu. Please come. Oh, there is Anjaneya. Oh, that's nice. Hare Krishna. Can take blessings. And we will chant for Anjaneya once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah. The second sponsor is Shekhar Babu Venkatesh. He's sponsoring for his mother, 2nd anniversary. Is Shekhar Babu here? Not here? Okay. But we will chant for his mother. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, perfect. So we have a few important festivals coming our way. So one is the Govardhan Diwali Mela. That's on the November 2nd, and it's going to be a very well set up outside where you'll be able to look at a mini Vrindavan that's going to be set up in the park in front of the temple. And there's a form outside. You can pick that up while you go. There are some sponsorship opportunities, some service opportunities. So please, very good way to get engaged. Then we have a spiritual retreat that's coming in. That's on the October 19th. It's for young professionals. So I'm not eligible, but I'm sure it's a day of peace. No emails, no deadlines for them. And they can realize that happiness comes when you have no Wi-Fi. Okay. So there's a spiritual retreat. There's a form outside on the table, so you can pick that up when you're going. Then we have the Kartik month coming up, which is starting on the 17th. 17th, yes. So that's the time of the year when you offer a lamp to Krishna and Mother Yashoda, we'll be setting up the deities there. And it's a time of the year when you can take your spiritual credit just through the roof. There's unlimited blessings for one lamp that you offer. It's the best return on investments. Okay, this was the things that are coming up. Anybody here for the first time? There's one. Yes, can I know your name, please? I didn't get that. Chinmay. Okay, welcome, Chinmay. Please, you have invite new guests here. That's the way we invite new guests. Why do we all forget? Okay, so those were the announcements. I think we've covered everything. So now we'll have a short discussion. Oh, introduce myself? Okay. I'll do that when the time comes. I'm the speaker, so that's a good introduction.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's a good fortune that Premdam Prabhu is here to speak today. He's going to give wonderful insights for improving our daily sadhana. That is, the sadhana is the word for practical practice that we do in devotion service to Krishna. So he's a wonderful devotee, Premdam Prabhu. He is also lead for book distribution for the temple, and he does lots of service for the temple. So anytime you have some service, anyone needs some service in the temple, he's ready to serve. So I appreciate his service attitude, and he has a wonderful. He's also another major contribution of him from temple. He's the teacher for Bhakti Shastri course that we have. And also he teaches the ISKCON Disciple course. There is a course that is required for anybody who wants to take initiation in ISKCON also. So I'll welcome Premdam Prabhuji to share his insights. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
It's on. Give me a minute, I'll. Hare. See the screen? Here? Okay. I just put this here, so if you want to this is a very good devotee. She's in Japan. She makes these beautiful paintings. They're very witty, and you can put them. I have a few of them on my refrigerator. Also, you can convert them to postcards. So I just put it there. I like that very. She has around 20 or 25 of these. So, insights for a good sadhana. Try to. But before we start, we always say our prayers to our teachers, because we always acknowledge where the knowledge is coming from. Without that, it doesn't help. Never, never, ever in our life will it happen that we will be intelligent enough that we can move our teacher out of the picture. That never happens. The teacher, Prabhupada calls a spiritual teacher transparent medium, 18th chapter of. Transparent medium means that you can see your guru's guru through him, then eventually his guru, and then eventually you can see Krishna through your spiritual master. But then he never gets out of the picture. That's why we always offer our obedience to our teacher. There was once this guy, he was going for an interview, and he was running late for the interview, just 10 minutes left. He was not able to find a parking for his car. He stopped for a minute and he just prayed hard. He says, God, I need to get into this interview. Please give me a parking spot. Turns a corner and he finds a parking spot. He again stops his car and he again says, God, please cancel my request. Okay, I found a parking space myself. So, we're not like that. We don't say that, oh no, I've figured it out, you can stay out of the picture. So we'll say this. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances. Okay, and so we sing a song which tells us that Krishna is a person and we can have a relationship with him. We can look at Krishna in awe and reverence. That's not something that we like to do. Always want to have a relationship with Krishna. That's why we celebrate the month of Damodar. So we see that there's a love between the mother and child, and it's also a reciprocation, where when Mother Yashoda was trying to tie Krishna, the rope was always 2 inches short, and she kept on adding rope after rope, but then she could never tie Krishna. And our teachers tell us that those 2 inches, 1 inch is for my effort, and the other inch is for Krishna's mercy. So there's always those two parts. So we love Krishna in all the relationship he has, and that's why he's a Purna Bhagavan, as you can call him. There are all, there's Vishnu. Vishnu is like we have fathers, like a father in the office versus a father at home. The father at home is Krishna. You can just, I remember there was this story I read, that there was once this big general in the army, and he was somebody who had come to meet him, and secretary said, no, you got to wait. So the person was waiting for an hour, and then he said, I don't know what the general is doing. So he took a peek into the room, and he saw he was on his his knees and his hands, and his grandson was sitting on his back. And so that's Krishna. You can have a loving relationship. But then if you look at the other forms, they are more of awe and reverence. That's why we love Krishna, and that's why we always remember his relationship. We'll sing this song, Jai Radha Madhav. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari. Jaya Giri Varadhari. Yashodhanandana Brijjana Ranjana. Yashodhanandana Brijjana Ranjana. Yashodhanandana Brijjana Ranjana. Anandana Brijjana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Chari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari. Yashodhanandana Brajjana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. First slide. So, okay, so yes, I put my title as what is sadhana? Because I said, it's I'm going to talk about sadhana, so I should clarify that, ask that. So, just looking from out to you to tell me what you think is sadhana. What does sadhana mean? Does it incorporate? I want to meditate on. Yes, okay, give me. Process to bhakti yoga. Okay. Yeah, spiritual practices. What spiritual practices? Some spiritual practices. There, yes. Okay, and that's a good definition. Something where I've just put a couple of sentences Prabhupada talks about in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Is the stage of improving in devotionals. What we're trying to do is want to come to a point where we can be in prema bhakti, can be in a loving service. But till we are not able to do that, we are in sadhana bhakti. We're seriously engaging in devotional. Is the word seriously. We might not have reached the topmost rung of the ladder, but we are seriously engaging in it and we're improving. As we all know, process of devotional service has 9 steps. Where does it start? Shraddha. Starts with Shraddha. Comes after Shraddha. Sadhu Sangha. These are the steps of sadhana. And then the topmost of that is prema. So, so till we don't reach prema, we are in sadhana. We're improving ourselves. So what I did was I just put a list of things that are there. What is the foundation of sadhana? Obviously, hearing and chanting, Prabhupada has given us that. That's very important. The chanting, the mantra that we chant, it's coming right from the spiritual stratum. It's not something material. And the purpose of the spiritual vibration is to clean the dust that is in the mirror of our heart. Mirror is like the heart is supposedly like a mirror, and there's a lot of dust on it. And I've forgotten who I am. I can't see myself. There's a lot of debris on it. I've been collecting for a very long time. Once we are able to clean that, it evokes and opens up all the kindness, the divinity, the love, the goodness that is dormant in us. And that's where the true happiness is. We try to be happy, but every happiness is very temporary if there is any. But then the true happiness comes from that level. There are, and so the hearing and chanting is what takes us through this material world and into the spiritual. Just like, nowadays we have that thing called sonar, right? Sonar is sound. Oh, anybody knows the full form? It's okay. Sonar, yes, that's what the whales use. I don't know if you know whales and dolphins. Even in the very muddy waters of Amazon River, they are able to track their path, go to other fishes to eat them, and they can make paths for them because they have something called echolocation through sound. They can make they're able to follow the Earth's magnetic field in conjunction with their hearing sense, and they're able to go at far off places. And so that's what they use. So whales and dolphins, they migrate a lot. And there is one whale, I know that I was looking at a documentary that it travels thousands of miles just in search for its prey, which is a seal. So that whale likes to eat seal. That's what they do, right? So sound and hearing is very important for whales. Similarly, the sound and hearing is very important for us. Whatever we put into our ears, it goes right into the bay of our heart. And once it goes into the bay of our heart, it defines our attitude. It defines how we project ourselves into this. So that's what hearing and chanting does. So taking us from the material stratum to the spiritual stratum, that's what the mantra does. And it helps us identify our higher consciousness. That's the goal of chanting. Right? So mantra reveals your higher self. And that's what yoga means. The word yoga in Sanskrit, it means to connect, the meaning of that word. And Krishna talks about it throughout the Bhagavad Gita, talks about different forms of yoga. But eventually he says, Sarva dharman parityaja maam ekam. Leave everything and you surrender to me. And that's the true form of yoga, connecting with our source. That's the whole purpose of whatever we do. Right? And even in this material world, every particle in this world has a vibration of itself. Now, if you could break down to the lowest part, every atom is vibrating, and that's what's eventually happening. So there's a vibration around everything. So everything is vibrating around us, all the material world we see. Right? So hearing and chanting is the first thing, right? So this is a good statement I put there. The quality of sound vibration in your life equals the quality of your life. Okay, so now there is some video time. So tell me one thing. You all must have heard the phrase, how do you say it? Silence is gold. All have heard that? You believe in that? Everybody believes in that? Why don't you believe in that? Okay. So you're saying silence is not good? Something going on, okay? Oh, that's very good. Very enlightened soul. I think I've done with my presentation. I should leave. I think, but yes, I've heard that phrase a lot. And actually, I was looking at let me just see if I can play the video here. Always have. So there is in Microsoft, what Microsoft has done, they have created a room where the sound level is minus 20 decibels. So just to give you a comparison, this room must be at around 60 decibels right now. But that's negative decibels. So even if you make a sound, that gets absorbed, right? And I was surprised to see, let's play this video and then we will talk. Okay, so there's this room I talked about. But I had another video. Let me see. Just give me 1 second. If I can present it in a different. video. I played it coming. Let it be. Okay, no problem. I don't want to. Okay, so there's a room that they have created where the volume is 0 decibels. And now you would think that, oh, there's no sound, there'll be so much peace there. There is no peace in that room. What people have said, there have been a lot of journalists that went into the room, and what they found that it's very disorienting for them. It's very disturbing for them. And the maximum anybody has been able to stay in that is 45 minutes, nothing beyond that. And some people have come out as quick as 5 seconds. And jokingly, the person who manages it, and when he lets people in, he tells them, don't try to scream because nobody's going to hear you. So, so there's no sense in screaming in that room, right? It's very disorienting. So sound is very important for us. Sometimes we feel that, oh, I wish I could have some silence and some peace, but that's not the way. That's completely opposite. That silence is not helpful for us. It's the sound that's very helpful for us. But then it depends on what kind of sound we are taking into our ears. That defines a lot. So that was one thing. And then there was another thing, and I don't know, my video is not going, but I wanted to tell you another thing. I'll see if that plays. No, it's not playing. I just wanted to tell you about this fish that I read. There's this, it's called a Chinook salmon fish. What the fish does is, it's born in a river. So it's freshwater river. Then it stays there for a year or two. Then it migrates to the ocean, which is a saltwater body. It goes to the ocean, lives there for a few years. And surprisingly, that fish has the knowledge to come back to the exact same place where it was born. And it comes there, so exactly. And if you go to some places where there are a lot of salmons, if you go to California, there are a lot of salmons in the rivers there. If you go to the Muir Woods, for example, you'll see that the forest, the people who are there, who are working in that park, they're cleaning up micro trash from the rivers. Why? Because the fishes, they lose their sense of direction when they have a lot of trash in the rivers. But then that's secondary. But what's amazing is that this fish is able to go through, it's going against the current of the river because it's going back home. That it is. And the video had it, but now the video is not playing, that's okay. What the fish can also do is, it can jump up to 3 feet high because there are a lot of waterfalls that it has to cross over. So it jumps approx 3 feet high, and then it can go over the waterfalls. So just imagine the determination that fish has just to go back to its source. Is working in there? Going on? But yeah, so that's a salmon fish. So I just wanted to give you these 2 examples just to understand how important sound can be. What the fish is using the magnetic field of the earth and combine it with the senses of smell and hearing, and then eventually gets to the exact same place where the fish was born. And that's what we all want to do. Go exactly where we are coming from. That's our goal. That's our purpose eventually. Whatever we do, the way we dress, the way we talk, the way we think, the books we read, the chanting we do, everything, eventually the goal is to go back to Krishna. Because that's where our love, our happiness lies. I can just keep hanging around in this world, watching 24-hour news, but it's never going to give me happiness. So yes, so hearing and chanting, both of them, they eventually are connected to sound. So they are really very important parts of the sadhana bhakti. So now, let's see. There are then 4 regulative principles that Prabhupada has given us, something very important. So I just wanted to briefly touch on these 2 aspects. I won't go through all of them. So I put a statement there. If you want to live a spiritual life, we can't do it unless these qualities are present. These qualities of no intoxication, no meat eating, no illicit relationship, no gambling. Now, many people come and ask me, why not? And as I put there, so when we gamble, we destroy truthfulness. Illicit relationships, they destroy cleanliness. Meat eating, that's very obvious. It kills the compassion and mercy aspect in our heart. Intoxication finishes off the austerity in our heart. So let's just look at it, each one of them quickly. So austerity, what austerity does, it allows you to see beyond the mind and senses. Generally, we are always at the level of mind and senses. That's all we are doing, right? We see the world through the mind and senses. But we quieten the mind and senses when we practice austerity. And the austerities are not for others. Sometimes people ask that, hey, Krishna doesn't want us to fast. No, I understand. Krishna doesn't want us to fast. It's for me, for my purification that I do austerity, right? We have to listen to the deepest of voices, not the loudest of desires in our heart. And the deepest of the voices telling us, which is coming from the soul down deep is telling us that, we have to connect to Krishna, right? So when we don't do austerities, we are under the influence of mind and senses. That's why when we drink, right? So when you are under the influence of some intoxicant, you lose the sense. The boundaries become more dilute. So that's what happens. That's what austerity does, right? And that's why when you are austere, we come to the state of that quietening the environment around us. That's why people don't like silence, because then when there is silence around them, their mind speaks to them. And then when the mind speaks to them, they're really scared, because the mind is telling them something completely opposite to some very weird things. That's why people avoid solitudes. Right? They keep themselves bombarded with 24/7 reels and shorts and TikTok and whatever it may be. Then meat eating, right? So that obviously that impacts the mercy aspect. Because if you want to have a relationship with somebody, the first thing in that is you should have a soft heart. You have to understand the other person's needs, interests, and concerns. You want to be in a relationship. Otherwise, so there's an effort that you have to put into a relationship. And with no mercy in the heart, that relationship doesn't walk a long distance, right? So all these services we do, eventually they help us in softening our heart. When we go out for book distribution, yesterday, some of the devotees were in Chantilly distributing books, and we had some material from the gift store also. And Dukshaja Prabhu was telling one lady that, you can get this thing, you can give it as a gift. And that lady was so rude. Oh, I'll give this as a gift. I was like, fine, you could have said no gently, but she preferred to say it in a rude way. So that's what happens. We lose that sense of compassion, that awareness that you're also talking to another living entity. It's another living entity that you're interacting with. That goes away when meat eating happens. Prabhupada once said, all the war in the world is happening because of meat eating. That was a big statement. Obviously, self-realized souls, they can see through the chaos that's happening, and they can figure out what's happening actually. And what that means is that the more meat eating that's happening, there is more pain and suffering inflicted to living entities, the more hardening of heart is happening. And you're not far away from killing human beings also, because your heart has become very hard. So that's how Prabhupada connected that. But then that's a highly evolved being you're talking about, Prabhupada. So he could connect that all this war that's happening is because our hearts had become hard. Somebody took over a kilometer of your boundary of your country, and then you go to war. You kill millions of people for that. So that's what happens when we eat meat. We become indiscriminate towards killing animals. And it doesn't pain us. Many of you might have seen videos of slaughterhouses, how they treat animals. How can anybody eat meat after that? Then cleanliness, I put there. Illicit relationships, cleanliness. So how does cleanliness? So cleanliness is not just the cleanliness of this body. Cleanliness is also the cleanliness of our mind. Right? We're talking about an ordered and a regulated life. Many times you might have seen that a room, it might be clean, but if you scatter things around, it's still disturbing to you. Right? It seems unclean. So cleanliness is not just that, you vacuum the room. It's about the right place for everything. And everything in its right place, and the right place for everything. So yes. So one is able to live a regulated life, then we have an opportunity to access God when we simplify our life, when we are clean in mind and in body. Right? And then the last one, gambling. Right? So when we gamble, what happens is that we're dependent too much on luck. What we're trying to do is that, hey, wish I could win $1 million here without putting in the hard work there. So we are becoming too much dependent on destiny. That's what gambling does. Truthfulness is going away because we're not putting in the hard effort that's needed to eventually get that money. And sometimes, gambling is also like when we speculate, hey, why do you do deity worship? Why not just go and feed the poor? Yes, all those things are, but you can keep speculating. There's no end to it. Right? So yes, blind faith is not good, but then blind doubt is also not good. Doubt also should have a limit to it. Otherwise, you can go unlimitedly to it. The dumbest question I've ever heard is that, why can't you have a square circle? Something like that. So people can go up to those extents. Just ask random questions. So speculation is also kind of gambling, right? Because we are gambling with our time there. You could easily just accept what Prabhupada is telling us and move forward with it. But no, we don't do that. So even a minute lost it never comes back to us. So we have to be not speculative and just follow the 4 regulator principles and then move forward with that. Okay, so this was just a preamble. I'm looking at the time, I'm not going up. So what I wanted to do was just talk about some insights which I felt were helpful in your sadhana practice. Can somebody read what this is a quote from one of Prabhupada's classes. Somebody please. Anybody can read. Yes. So you might have seen these, you don't see them in chemist shop and doctor shop in today's world, but you'll see that they set up these bottles with a lot of colored water, just acting as if these are medicines, but there's no medicine in that. It's just water and some colors there. And that's what Prabhupada is telling us. Don't become a show bottle devotee. He says that to us. So show bottle is that there's just color and water. There is no sense of sadhana practice. There is no sense of accumulating that piety and that austerity in our hearts. All we are doing is just trying to show off that I am a great devotee. See, just look at me, how well I have memorized the verses. How well can I chant the Bhagavad Gita? How well can I sing and whatnot? But then my heart is full of negativity towards devotees especially. Prabhupada clearly told us we should not be critical of anybody, not criticize anybody. Forget about devotees, don't criticize anybody because we don't know who the other person is. Right? So yes, so 3 things Prabhupada has said at multiple points, sorry. Being strict, serious, and sincere in our sadhana. So what does strict mean? So strict means to be rigorous with oneself in following a chosen method of practice. That's what strict means. That this is the path that I have accepted, and I am going to follow this path. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is, don't know about the book, it's about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that book, the author tells us about Raghunath Das Goswami. And he calls him that is Pashanera Rekha. So Pashanera Rekha means it's like a line on stone. So line on stone, you cannot change it, right? So that was the devotional practice of the Goswamis. And he was specifically referring to Raghunath Das Goswami. That what they do it every day, irrespective of whatever may come. They have practiced and they have aligned their lives in a way that they could continue doing what they want to do. And it's a strict observance of our daily practice, right? It's immovable, like this, like a line in the stone, right? If I'm not practicing strictly what I have chosen to practice, then my mind can dictate me everything in the world. 5 o'clock, you wake up in the morning, your mind can tell you, let's look at the emails that we have received overnight. My colleagues in Sweden, they start 5 hours early. Let me look at that. Your mind can tell you that. So our mind can dictate us in many different ways if we're not strict in our practice. Right? If we don't tell our mind before going to sleep at night that, hey, we wake up at this time, I chant my rounds, I read my Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever you're reading, and then I start my life. Then the mind doesn't fool us. But if our sadhana is not strict, our mind fools us all the time. There are whimsical dictates of the mind. And we need strictness to stay steady in this practice. The word serious means during that practice, one is thoughtful and attentive to the details. Many a times, you might be reading a book and you might have finished a whole page and then at the end of the page, you just don't know what you read because your mind was somewhere. Right? Similarly, in bhakti, in your sadhana practice, that can happen. You can be chanting, but your minds might be somewhere else. You might be reading Bhagavad Gita and your mind is somewhere else. So that's what serious means. There's no distractions. In the face of temptations, there are no distractions, or even in a calamity. And elevated devotees, they plan their time. If they know that my day is going to be busy, then they plan their time accordingly. They wake up an hour early in the morning, finish their. But then they are very strict and serious in their sadhana. So, and you have so many things to do, right? But then you prioritize your sadhana practices, then do it before your day starts, whatever may happen. You might have the toughest meeting of your life, no, but you finish your rounds, you finish your reading, and then you go into that meeting. So, and because eventually you have to, seriousness is needed because you eventually have to apply what you are reading. You have your knowledge, you have your practice, but you have to combine both of them to come to wisdom. You have to practice what you're reading, otherwise it's of no use. So my goal here was today was that hopefully you could take something out from the presentation that you could take home and practice. And I'll share some more points as I go on. But that was my goal here, that you could take just one thing, take it home and practice it. Otherwise, I'll be sad. You don't take something home. You know, Steve Jobs used to say this to his employees that, hey, you can work your whole life on a product and make it the best, but you have to eventually ship it to the customers. They have to use it. And that's the exact time. So similarly, you could be chanting and reading the whole day for your life, but if you're not applying the principles, at the end of your life, God knows what's going to come to your mind. So application is very important. And seriousness also means being substantial in terms of size. Don't do just a little bit. Do, and I'll talk a bit more about the capacity part, but then you have to do enough that your material impact that you're having in your life could be neutralized to an extent. That's the amount of seriousness you need. So you have to do substantial amount of chanting, substantial amount of reading. That's important. So that's what seriousness means. Then we have sincere. So sincere means to accept Krishna's directive without any envy and ulterior motives. Don't try to make a pretense. The word sincere comes from a Latin word, actually two Latin words, sin and sera. So what they used to do in the olden days, what they used to do was, you know, marble, you have marble quarries, they get marble out, and marble was used for constructions and whatnot. But then sometimes when they're taking marble out, you know, cracks would develop in the marble. And what they would do is they would fill it with wax. And that wax would kind of make that crack disappear temporarily. It might look that the marble is perfect. And when the marble was used in somebody's house and when it would get hot, the wax would melt and the cracks would show up. So now you can combine that to what I'm speaking, sincere. So don't pretend to be a perfect marble. If we have cracks in our heart, that's fine. Krishna already knows that. So we're not trying to be a show bottle devotee. We're not trying to pretend. And we're not saying you have to be perfect. Krishna accepts in whatever position you are. Krishna is okay from that very point. He takes you from there. Only through this sincerity, love comes. Because as long as I'm pretending to be somebody else, I cannot be transparent with you. I cannot be transparent with my teachers. I cannot be transparent with you can just make a prayer that, Krishna, I've got a lot of things in my heart. I'm just leaving it open for you. Please come and clean it. So at least we can be very sincere with Krishna. Just tell him, yeah, it's very hard to be vulnerable to other people, but you can at least be vulnerable to Krishna. Let him know. Tomorrow when you start chanting, you can just tell him, Krishna, I've got a lot of things in my heart, and I just request you to please clean them. That could be your sankalpa, that could be your thought before you start chanting in the morning. And when we do that, then Krishna gives us the intelligence. Is Tesham satata yuktanam bhajate priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. So dadami buddhi yogam. So he gives us intelligence. When he sees that we are sincere, that intelligence. That's all he's asking. He's not asking us to be perfect. If we were perfect, then we wouldn't be here. We only go to a hospital because we have a disease. This is a hospital. So yes, so that's what sincerity means. That's clean, pure. There is no pretense. Don't try to cheat Krishna. You don't want to do that. There was once a person, he was just walking down the street and he saw a notice on a shop which said that you buy everything, your great-grandson will pay. Oh, that's very exciting. I buy everything and my great-grandson will pay. Okay? So he reads it twice and he goes in. And he says, he asked the checkout guy, is that correct? I buy everything I want to and my great-grandson will come and pay? He says, yes, please go buy everything or pick up everything you want. So he takes his card, fills up it, everything, and then he comes out to the checkout counter and they say, oh, yes, everything, your great-grandson will pay. And then he's about to leave the store. He says, sir, wait, you forgot to take your bill. He says, what bill? You told me my great-grandson will pay. Oh, no, this bill is from your great-grandfather. So don't try to cheat Krishna. Don't have that cheating tendency. I know you don't do it. I'm probably just saying it to myself. I'm preaching to the choir here. But yes, we don't try to teach Krishna. Krishna remembers everything. Krishna knows everything. He remembers everything. When Lord Ram and Sita, yesterday we celebrated killing of Ravan, and soon we'll be celebrating Diwali when Lord Ram comes back. So when Lord Ram was coming back and Mother Sita was coming back, the way they were celebrating their coming back was they were, the air was filled with these different colors, like, in Holi you just throw up different colors. That's what the way people of Ayodhya were celebrating. And they were, also throwing out this red color. And when Mother Sita saw that red color, she started crying. Lord Ram saw her and he also started crying. And the reason Mother Sita was crying, because that red color in the air reminded her of Jatayu. Because when Jatayu was killed, something similar, he was a bird, right? Jatayu was a bird, and he was trying to stop Ravan from taking Mother Sita away. And what he did was he chopped off his wings, and so there was blood all over. That's what Mother Sita was reminded of. So Krishna never forgets anything. He always remembers everything. Even in the midst of so much jubilation, Mother Sita and Lord Ram were remembering Jatayu for his excellent service towards them. So that's the memory of Krishna. And that's the kind of memory we have to develop, that we remember what Krishna is giving us. That's when we become sincere. Krishna gives, and he forgives. We get, and we forget. That's what's happening. So yeah, you're here, you're in Krishna consciousness, be sincere, go back home. Anyways, you're already here, so you cannot go anywhere. They say that Krishna consciousness is like mafia. Once you come in, you can never get out of it, because you already know so much. Wherever you go, you will be, these things will be reverberating in your mind that, oh, Krishna says this, and I heard this, and I read that. Oh my God, I wanted to enjoy here, and now I'm remembering shloka from Bhagavad Gita. So yeah, once you are in, you're like the mafia. You're in there. You never go anywhere. That was the first thing I just wanted to bring out. Second thing I just wanted to bring out was, according to one's personal capacity. Yes. Can somebody please read what Prabhupada is saying here? Thank you. Yes, Prabhupada stresses a lot on the word capacity there. Okay, you have a picture there. It's Lord Ram, the bridge being made. Can you just look at it? How do you relate to the topic that I've put on the slide there? Good. You all are perfect. Yes, this little squirrel. If you don't know the story, I'll quickly tell you. There was a little squirrel picking up these little pebbles, throwing it on the rocks. And there was Hanuman picking up these huge mountains and throwing them in the. And then he just shoves her aside, says, get out of my way, you're interfering with my service. And Lord Ram comes and chastises Hanuman. He says, she is as valuable to me as you are, because she is doing it according to her capacity. That's why it was as good as Hanuman for Lord Ram. So yes, working according to our capacity. We don't want to overdo things, but we also don't want to underdo things, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of the teachers in the hierarchy, he tells that it's very much like getting on a ladder. You want to put your step firmly on one rung of the ladder before you jump onto the next one, right? So that you have to have that caution. But then if you, otherwise you will fall if you go too fast. But then you also don't want to just stick on one ladder. That's also not good. So yes, your capacity is good, but then you don't want to just stick there. Do it according to your capacity and keep trying your best to expand. Right? There's this in Srimad Bhagavatam and also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Swe Swe Adhikari Anishta, Sa Guna Parikirtita. Swe Swe Adhikari Sanishta. So whatever is your adhika, whatever is within your capacity, you do that. And from there you progress onwards. That's the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the Vedic culture. They give us a very user-friendly spirituality. Wherever you are in your life, you can pick it up and start practicing. Wherever you may be, Krishna wants you in the house He's built for you. You don't want to stay in the main building, you can stay in the backyard. Put a tent there, but don't go out of the house. That's what Krishna wants. Right? So please, working on your capacity is very important. Right? So whatever capacity you have, you take a look and you make a plan around it. And then no one can stop you from increasing your sadhana. Who's the only one who can stop you is your own mind and the sense of procrastination. No, I'm busy, I'll do it later. We all have capacity. We all have capacity to do something. Bring that capacity in, be strict, serious, and sincere in that capacity, and then you'll progress from there. Bhakti is very simple. So a simple process, but you do it strictly. That's the way Prabhupada used to put it. Analyze things, look at it critically, and understand your capacity and move on from there. So now somebody can ask you, can ask me, how do we know what our capacity is? That's a very good point. So you can know your capacity, first of all, by taking guidance. You can ask people. I do this much service. These are my things going on in my life. What do you think? So that's a very good way of taking guidance, and then people can tell you what your capacity is. And another thing is that if you are engaging in your sadhana bhakti, but you still have time to engage in other activities, material activities, that shows that you're still below your capacity. That's something of worth understanding also. And then also in Bhagavatam, we are told that it's something that you will realize for yourself what your capacity is. Just like when you're eating food, when you eat food, you know when your stomach is full. It's not like somebody has to come and tell you that, Prem Dham, you're done, stop eating. No, we know our capacity, how much it works for. Right? So that's what is about capacity. And then, 5:53, okay. So let's move on to one more point. I think I have just one more. Goal-oriented. Your sadhana bhakti should be goal-oriented. Just don't do it high up in the sky. Many people have said to me over the years that I chant the whole day. I'm working in somewhere and I'm chanting in my mind. And they presume as if they're perfect. No, they're far away from perfection because that's a trick that mind plays. There's no goal there. How much do you want to chant? Right? The Goswamis of Vrindavan, the Sad Goswami Ashtakam says that Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gani Namati. What they say is Sankhya Purvaka. The Goswamis would note down every single thing they were doing. How many times were they going to the deities, going down to the deities, how many rounds they were chanting, how many times they were probably appreciating other devotees. They were noticing everything. They were recording everything down. Right? Because they knew that you give 1 minute to your mind and it'll take you away. Just fly off. Just fly off. That's what it does. So that's another thing, goal setting. Once you start setting goals, your mind becomes like a heat-seeking missile. Heat-seeking missiles, they send it after jets. Jets, they have this high-octane fuel burning and they're hot. And when you leave a missile that's tracking that heat, so that's what happens to your mind when you have a goal. Right? Otherwise, our life is pretty lackluster. Doesn't have much joy and excitement in it if we don't have goals. So yes, so set a number, set a goal for yourself. And the most important thing, as I have put it there on the screen there, that there was a motivational speaker, I think he's still around, Jim Rohn. His name was Jim Rohn. And he would say, decide what you want to do and write it down on a piece of paper. So what do you do when you write it down on a piece of paper? You solidify it. It comes from the subtle to the gross. And now it's out there for your mind to see. Once you put it on a paper, then now the goal has become solidified. And then you can take it from there and start practicing it. Now your mind knows that, okay, this is something we really want to do. So goal setting is really very important for us. Right? So write down your intentions. That's what you want to do. Okay, so that was goal orienting. And then there's one more that I have. I think this is the last one in my list. Your attitude defines your altitude. There's something I think Viktor Frankl said. But yes, Prabhupada put this statement in the Nectar of Instruction. This is a very succinct but very powerful statement in itself. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So, Viktor Frankl he was in the imprisonment in the Nazi camps, right? And then he wrote a book. He wrote a book about his imprisonment and what his realizations were. He was a psychologist, and so what he says that even if you're put in a jail, one thing nobody can take away from you. That's the freedom to choose in any given circumstance. You have that freedom to decide which way you can go in any circumstance. That freedom nobody can take away from you.
You can be put in a concentration camp, you can be put in jail, you can, whatever it may be. But nobody can take away that freedom from you, what you would want to do. Once early on in the Krishna consciousness movement, there was in one of the cities, the devotees were chanting and they were distributing books, and the cops came and arrested them and took them to jail. It was Sunday; they all were looking towards for the Sunday feast, but now they were in jail. So what they did was they started doing manas cooking, like in their mind. They started cooking in their mind that, okay, fine, you want to put us in jail? We'll cook in our mind, we'll offer prasadam in our mind, and we'll eat it in our mind. And they were very happy. And the police guys were thinking that what do these guys are doing? Are they crazy or something? No, they were just practicing in their mind. And we all can do that. Nobody's going to stop us from that. You might be in the busiest meeting of your life, but you'll still just be happy and calm and peaceful. By just imagining that within your heart, you understand that this too shall pass, right? Everything is going on. Today you have a tough boss, tomorrow is an easy boss. It just keeps going on. So you can. So that attitude is really important, right? And when we have an attitude of service, then what we are doing is we are taking ourselves away from the center. That I'm not the center of everything. Krishna is the center. So the service makes our heart soft, right? And then we can always ask this question, how maybe are you of service? I just imagine that you go into, if you've been to an Indian wedding ceremony, you see there's a lot of stuff going on. They're setting up chairs and tables, and there is somebody is helping with the cooking. So you might not know anybody there, but if you just go and ask, how may I be of service? You suddenly become a part of the party who's doing that service there, whose marriage function is that. And you can get involved, you can start picking up chairs, putting up chairs, and then if somebody new comes, they will ask you, hey, can I be of service? They would think you're already in the party. So that's what happens when you ask that, how may I be of service? And when you ask that question, you suddenly become a part of Krishna's bandwagon. So now, okay, now you're Krishna's. Now when anybody new comes in, they say, oh no, this guy is already with Krishna. So that's the beauty of changing our attitude. There was once this boy, he only had one arm. Okay? But he wanted to be a martial arts teacher. He wanted to learn martial arts. He went to a lot of teachers and all would say, you only have one arm. What can we do? We can't help you. Then he learned of one teacher way up in the mountains, and he said that he could probably take you as a student. So he walked up the mountain, bitter cold. He sat outside the door of the monastery, and he asked them. He wanted to get in. He knocked the door. Nobody opened up. The night he spent shivering. And next morning somebody came out just to clean, mopping the area. And they again closed the door. And he was still sitting there. After 2 days, somebody called him in. And he says, what do you want? He says, I want to learn martial arts. Okay, so the teacher said, okay, I'll take you as a student, but only if you agree to what I tell you to do. He said, okay, fine. He said, okay, I'll only ask you to learn one technique, nothing else. And he practices that for months and months, and he gets frustrated. He says, what do you mean? I'm just learning one thing, right? So then a time comes for the tournaments, right? The competitions. And there's this one guy in one of the other teams who's just winning every single battle. And now this boy and his teacher, so this teacher sends this guy with just one hand to fight this other guy who was winning all the battle. And this guy who with one hand is perplexed. He says, what do you mean he's been winning every single battle? He says, just believe, have faith on me, and just go do that. And he believed his teacher, and he went and fought. Okay? And he won that competition. Why? Because his teacher had taught him a trick that could only be done with both the hands. Right? So the other opponent was trying to attack him, and he had to hit him, but he had to hit him on his both hands. That's how the trick would work. But the other person couldn't do anything because this guy just had one hand. And so he was able to defeat this other person. Hope my example makes sense. I see. But that was the trick there. So, but then what the student did was he just listened to his teacher. That was the attitude of service that he had. And that gave him all the success he wanted. Even against the toughest guy, just because his teacher taught him a technique that he could stand in front of this other guy who needed his opponent's both arms to engage in a trick. And then because the other person didn't have both arms, so he was able to win. So that attitude is really very important, and we need to change that attitude. It's getting prasadam time, so I'll give you a prasadam analogy. So when you go for prasadam, I go for prasadam. It's surprising. I noticed that I'm not looking at the servers. Okay, I'm looking at my plate, and how much is the server putting in my plate. As long as the server is putting in a good amount, I don't look at the server. Okay, yeah, fine, whoever you are. And then I keep moving, and the moment somebody puts less than what I want, I immediately look at the server. And I say, you know who I am? I'm Prem Dham Das. Do you know me? And so that's one way. That's one thing we do. Another thing I do is, I keep saying we. It's me, not you. You all are perfect. So another thing I do is that I'm looking at the other guy's plate. Did he get more than me? I'm doing that when I'm taking prasadam. So we can learn a lot from every phase of life. And that's something we do in this life also, right? Always seeing so that somebody else has got more than me. Not being content in what I have got. It's all about our attitude. It's not about more or less. Everybody is suffering. You never know the complete picture for anybody's life. You might see somebody with a beautiful car in the parking lot, but you don't know how much screaming he gets at work just to be on the position where he is. How much humiliation he or she has to suffer. You don't know that, what he's going. You might see a person very successful in business, but you don't know what's going on at his or her house. That his or her spouse doesn't listen to him. They're on the verge of a divorce or something. There's so much going on. But if we just change that attitude and focus that attitude towards Krishna instead of ourselves and what this guy is getting or what this guy is doing to me, that changes the whole picture. That makes the whole process so much more fruitful for us. Right? So we get a sense of gratitude when we come to that position where we are able to change our attitude a little bit. That's all is needed. You don't have to give a 180-degree turn. That's all is needed, a little bit of attitude change. And then Krishna comes into the picture. He immediately jumps into the picture. There's a story of a sparrow given in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There was a sparrow and the ocean once just washes away her eggs. And the sparrow says, please give me back my eggs or I'll just dry you out. I'll take water from you and I'll just throw it elsewhere and you'll dry out. And the ocean laughs at the sparrow. But the sparrow is determined. Keeps taking water in a small, tiny beak, throws it away, doing that day after day. And then that catches the attention of Garuda. And then Garuda comes and tells the ocean, that you didn't believe the sparrow, but if you don't give her eggs back, I'll surely dry you up. And that puts fear in the ocean's heart, and he gives the eggs back. That's what happens. When we put in our little effort with determination, with that strict, serious and sincere effort, and then the other things I told you, there'll be a quiz after this, I'll ask you. So when we do that, then Krishna comes, he jumps into the picture immediately. And then he helps us out of everything. Prabhupada tells us that Krishna's protection is available to every single person who just steps into this practice. Not somebody who's perfected this practice. Not somebody who's walked a mile. No. For everybody who's just stepped into this. So Krishna's protection is available to everybody. Then we become a friend of Krishna. And he's going to protect us. If not that, Krishna is aloof. Okay, fine, I don't like you, I don't hate you. You live your life, I'll give you whatever you want, fine, here and there. But there's no love in that relation. Okay, let me see. Do I have something else? Nope, that was the last slide I had. Thank you very much. Any thoughts, comments, questions, anything you didn't like?
Hare Krishna, anyone has any questions?
As you mentioned that in the 6 Goswamis, in Sad Goswami Ashtakam, there is mentioned that Sankha Purvaka Nam, like Nam Jap and every activity. Some people often ask, like I have faced this question even from my family members, that devotion should flow. And why this kind of Nam Jap?
Devotion should flow?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then why this kind of like counting, this actually barring the flow? No, that doesn't make sense. I tried mentioning them, no, this is the goal that because our mind sometimes we can do more, sometimes less, but if we make it a goal, then it will not be distracted. But the question remains, like, how to make them, like what to tell them.
Okay. I'll give you a suggestion. Don't preach to your family. Don't preach to you. Feed them prasadam, you for them, pray to Krishna for them. Don't preach. That's my experience. I'm not saying I know everything. But that's what I have realized. I have burned my fingers in this a lot, and I don't do it anymore. Whenever I go to see my brother, I cook for him. I cook very good rasgullas for him. I offer them to my deities, and I take it for them. And he likes them. That's the best I can do for him. Because I know that he's a very intelligent guy, the cream of he's very intelligent. And he thinks that he's figured out everything in his life. And luck by luck, everything has worked out for him that way. What he wanted to study, what he wanted his kids to do, what he wanted to do as a job, everything worked out for him. I tried preaching to him and I burnt my fingers. I don't do it anymore. So that's my suggestion to you. But then, as you rightly told your family, that unless you don't have a goal, your mind will never move towards it. That's the best you can tell them. But also realize that sometimes when you try to preach to your family, you might be distancing them from you. Sometimes when the right moment comes, they might not come to you because they'll feel, oh my God, this guy is so preachy and just all the time telling me do this, do this. But if you're just good to them, you're nice to them, you just love them for being Krishnas, then the time when they're going through a hardship, they might come back to you. And then they might ask you. They might open up their heart to listen to it. You have to wait for the right moment. That's what Krishna does. Billions of lives, I've been enjoying. Someday I'm a dog, someday I'm a king, someday I'm what and not. He's waiting for me. So we also should learn from Krishna. Wait. When the right time comes, then you'll be able to give them. Thoughts.
Hare Krishna.
Right.
I just have a quick question. Could you explain when the Satya Yuga is going to begin?
Satya Yuga.
Yes.
Kali Yuga is 427,000 years. We have been through 5,000 years. So that's the remainder.
Thank you.
So 422, something like that. But before that, you'll be back home. So don't worry. Nothing to worry there.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a lovely presentation today. My question is about silence. And in a high stress, high anxiety filled society, there are a lot of regulation tools that one could use, like meditation, I've heard of. And it seems that, and it's also something that I personally practice, trying to still the mind when there's been so much going on at work or in my daily activities. Can you speak a little bit more about, I feel like I understand that like too much silence is can be detrimental, but can you speak to slowing the mind in a way that can handle the anxiety without taking your mind off of Krishna?
Your question is, how can I silence my mind, still focus on Krishna? Questions?
Yes. Is there any good in silence?
No, there is good in silence. But that's not. What I wanted to point out was that sound is what can liberate us. And when there's no sound, when there is silence, it becomes very scary for us because we listen to our mind. And people generally, when they were going to that room, which was minus 20 decibels, they were thinking, oh, there'll be a lot of peace there. Actually, there's no peace there because they're able to listen to their blood flowing and their heart beating. So, and then more importantly, their mind was so much more louder now because they can't hear to themselves speak, they cannot hear to anybody else. So silence is good. However, what Prabhupada has taught us is that silence minus Krishna doesn't work. So you could silence yourself, you can be in a solitary place, that's okay. But then what does that solitary place mean is critical. And I'll just, if I can probably share again, I'll show you something. Prabhupada speaks about this in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. Sharing. So here's Prabhupada. This is the 13th chapter, verse number, I think they're 8 to 12. So, saying, one may test himself by seeing how far he is inclined to live in a solitary place without unwanted associations. Naturally, a devotee has no taste for necessary sporting or cinema going or enjoying some social functions because he understands that they are simply a waste of time. There are many research scholars and philosophers who study sex life or some subjects, but according to Bhagavad Gita, such research work and philosophical speculation has no value. That is more or less nonsensical. One should make research by philosophical discretion into the nature of the soul. One should make research to understand the self. That is recommended here. So what Prabhupada is telling us here, that living in solitary place means you're thinking about Krishna. Right? You have to cut down the unnecessary noises from your life. That's what silence would mean for you. That's what I was trying to hint upon. But yes, you need Krishna in the picture. Otherwise, it doesn't work. That's what Prabhupada tells us. What does living in a solitary place means? It means that you are bringing Krishna into the picture. And what does, even detachment, what does detachment mean? Doesn't mean you leave your family and go away. No. Detachment means that you are able to use everything for Krishna's service. It's just a change in the mindset. Okay. It's 12.
Hare Krishna, does anyone else has any other last
chance.
question?
Nothing? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.